3. The real meaning of the universe is mental. Science concerns itself with reality in the form of real particles, real organisms, and the real universe. The tacit assumption is that science can answer the question of reality itself. If this wasn't the case, science would have a hard time explaining why it holds a special place as a human activity. So one must grant that science concerns itself with the reality of objects. What this assumes, of course, is that objects exist independent of conscious experience. In the first 2 articles of this series, we've discussed the evidence that our universe is in fact fundamentally mental. What we call physical things and events, as it turns out, do not exist independently of subjective experience. In today's video, we tell you all about this interesting and mystical topic. Stay until the end. You can't miss this information. If they did, how would one even prove such existence? Conscious experience is the only way that reality can be known. The implications of this increasingly unavoidable conclusion that the universe must be approached as fundamentally mental are often misunderstood. For this reason, the vast majority of scientists cling to the belief in materialism, regarding anything else as metaphysics and not science. The goal of the present article is to address some of these misunderstandings. To begin with, we aren't proposing that human mental activity is necessary for the world to exist, i.e., for it to be real. Or to put it another way, reality can be independent of the human mind, but not necessarily of mind or consciousness in general. When we say that the universe is mental, many people interpret this to mean that reality is in our heads. Precisely the opposite is the case. If all reality is mental, then our heads and bodies as parts of reality are in the mind. This may sound surprising at first, but is entirely consistent with everyday experience. There is nothing to our bodies but our felt perceptions of them. A body is what a particular swirl in a transpersonal flow of experiences looks like, just like a whirlpool is what a particular swirl in a stream of water looks like. What do you think about this mystical information that we are telling you? Leave me your answer in the comments box. If you are enjoying the video, give me a like and share it so that others can see it too. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future content. Let's continue. Indeed, to say that the universe is mental does not mean that it exists only within the limited minds of humans. Instead, the universe is the expression of a universal mind that transcends personal awareness. This is what we call fundamental conscious awareness. Our seemingly separate human minds are dissociated personalities of this universal mind, akin to the multiple personalities of a person with dissociative identity disorder. The ideas and emotions experienced by the universal mind, within which we are all immersed, are presented to us in the form of the empirical world we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell. This is analogous to how the ideas and emotions of another person are presented to us in the form of the person's brain activity, which we can also perceive through fMRIs and other instrumentation. Many argue that the fact that the universe obeys stable and predictable laws implies that it cannot be mental. The motivation for this argument is that our human imagination seems rather unstable and unpredictable. However, as argued above, the universe is the expression of a universal mind, not of human imagination, not of human minds. The cognitive activity in this universal mind, the universal conscious awareness, may very well unfold according to predictable regularities, such as what we've come to call the laws of nature. As a matter of fact, even our human minds, when analyzed in depth, reveal stable collective patterns of behavior called archetypes. The laws of nature are simply the archetypes of the universal mind. If one claims that reality is mental, some scientists argue that one must somehow explain the universal mind behind it. This is an all too common but basic error. Every theory of nature works by explaining certain aspects of reality in terms of other aspects. For instance, we explain living beings in terms of organs, organs in terms of tissues, tissues in terms of molecules, molecules in terms of atoms, etc. But one cannot keep on playing this game forever. At some point we hit rock bottom. Therefore, every theory of nature needs to grant at least one fundamental aspect of reality that cannot be explained, but in terms of which everything else should be explainable for physicalists. This fundamental aspect of reality is, depending on the particular theory, a set of basic subatomic particles, superstrings, hyperdimensional membranes, etc. But under the view that the universe is mental, the universal mind itself is the sole fundamental aspect of reality. As such, the universal mind cannot be explained, and does not need to be explained in terms of anything else. It simply is. Everything else, in turn, needs to be explained in terms of the behavior, excitations, modulations, vibrations, movements, or whatever other metaphor is most suitable of the universal mind. This is the challenge incumbent upon theories of the mental universe, which the authors of this article strive to contribute to. Quantum mechanics has thrust upon us a totally different sense of reality than the everyday reality we infer from our senses. Everyday reality is essentially the reality described by classical physics. Quantum mechanics fundamentally states that the world and everything it contains is not independent of acts of measurement, i.e., measuring something is how physics derives all physical properties. In the quantum universe, where reality is already mental in the above sense, the usual assumption held by modern neuroscience that the brain creates the mind cannot work. Of course, without the physical brain, human mental processes of the waking and sleep states would not be possible, but this does not imply that the mental realm ends here in the physical brain. Such a claim is like saying that without a physical radio, broadcasts consisting of electromagnetic waves cease to exist. The brain does not create the sense of mental reality, but is necessary for human cognition and human experience to take on their specific human attributes. Let's put it this way. One can rightfully ask, if reality is quantum, how come we have what appears to be a classical world with definite objects, boundaries between objects, and the lack of quantum effects like entanglement and non-locality? This is a serious question which deserves detailed discussion. Here, we'll only address the overarching issue of quantum reality. In a recent published work, building on the fact that quantum non-locality is inferred, the so-called veiled non-locality, and naked singularities inside black holes cannot be perceived, known as cosmic censorship, Kafatos and Kak present the view that general relativity and quantum mechanics will be unified only when consciousness is brought into the picture. The sense of reality that one obtains, wherein perception, quantum mechanics, and consciousness are all at interplay, is examined by Kak, Chopra, and Kafatos. A consequence of this mental reality is that attempts to account for consciousness in terms of existing physical theories, tweaking a theory to account for consciousness, may be misplaced. What needs to happen, as we argued before, is to develop a framework of qualia science. One final point should be made. If consciousness matters for determining reality, then the inner thoughts of the experimenter who operates the machines would also have to be reported when we write up the results of our experiments. We'd need to know whether they were daydreaming about sex, for example. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe, activate the bell, give it a like, and check out our content. Comment if you liked our video, and don't miss the next one.